Picture strapping a machine to your back that fires 6 turbojet engines at once, lifting straight off the ground, hovering in midair, and flying away at 120 miles an hour. This is not a movie, not CGI, not a concept on a screen. It's real. It's being built in California right now, and militaries on the other side of the planet are paying nearly $1 million for a pair of them. The country that built the airplane and put a man on the moon has finally done it. A jetpack that actually works. Stay until the end, because who's buying it will leave you speechless. For almost 100 years, the jetpack has been the single most teased promise in all of technology. We were promised it in the pulp magazines of the 1930s. We saw it strapped to the back of a hero in old movie serials. We watched a man fly one for about 20 seconds at the opening of a major sporting event back in the 1980s. The famous rocket belt. And every single time, the same crushing letdown followed. Because those early machines were a beautiful lie. That rocket belt ran on hydrogen peroxide. It carried barely enough fuel for 21 seconds of flight. 21 seconds. By the time you'd lifted off and waved to the crowd, you were already coming back down, praying you'd land on your feet. For decades, that was the ceiling. The jetpack was a stunt, a spectacle. A thing that looked incredible for half a minute, and then ran dry. And then a company in California decided that half a minute simply wasn't good enough. The company is called Jetpack Aviation, based in Southern California, founded and led by a man named David Mayman. Mayman isn't a marketing executive who licensed someone else's idea. He's the chief pilot. He's the one who has strapped these machines to his own back again and again, taking the spills, eating the crashes, and getting back up. For many years, his company has been building and flying some of the world's first genuine long-endurance jetpacks. And the whole point, from the very beginning, was to turn the jetpack from a circus act into a real aircraft. In 2015, the world got its first real glimpse. Mayman flew one of his early machines in a full circle around the Statue of Liberty, not for 20 seconds, around an American monument in open airspace with the whole world watching. That was the warning shot. What came after is the reason militaries are now trembling. To understand the new machine, you have to understand the one that cracked the problem first. The JB-11. Forget everything the old rocket belts couldn't do. The JB-11 has an empty weight of around 115 pounds, a maximum speed of over 120 miles per hour, and an operational ceiling of 15,000 feet. 15,000 feet. That's higher than most small planes ever bother to climb. And here is the part that changed everything. The JB-11 runs on Jet A1, JP8, kerosene, or diesel, and it features 6 turbojet engines. 6 engines, not 1, not 2. 6. Why does that matter? Because for the first time, a jetpack had redundancy, the same survival principle that keeps airliners in the sky. The flight computers ensure that the pilot can continue to fly even if 2 of the engines fail. Let that sink in. You could lose a third of your engines in mid-air, strapped to your own back, and the machine would compensate and keep you flying. That is not a toy. That is aviation-grade engineering on a device you wear like a backpack. And it gets smarter. The latest models feature auto-stabilization software, making it dramatically easier to learn how to operate. The flight computer is constantly making thousands of tiny corrections, so the pilot isn't fighting the machine. The pilot is just deciding where to go. But the JB-11 was the proof of concept. The machine that's actually making governments reach for their checkbooks is its successor. Meet the JB-12. And here's the first thing you need to know about it. Most of its specifications are classified. It's described as a classified design derived from the earlier JB-11, specifically intended for military use. Jetpack Aviation has barely released a single image of it. Think about how rare that is. A company that wants to sell a product, deliberately keeping it in the shadows. There's a reason for that. This one wasn't built for air shows. It was built for soldiers. Here's what we do know. The JB-12 weighs about 105 pounds and is powered by 6 turbojet engines, each delivering roughly 88 pounds of thrust. Do that math. 6 engines, around 90 pounds of thrust apiece. That's over 500 pounds of force, channeled through a machine you strap onto your shoulders. The vertical takeoff and landing jetpack is controlled through whole engine vectoring and a thrust management computer that lets the pilot hover and maneuver in every direction at speeds up to 120 miles per hour. And now, the detail that should make you sit up. The entire system fits inside a set of standard Pelican cases. Standard hard cases. The kind you can throw in the back of a truck, drop out of a helicopter, or stack in a storage locker. It's transportable in a car or a motorcycle trailer, and it's immediately ready to fly with no charging and no aviation infrastructure required. No runway, no hangar, no charging station. You open the cases, you assemble the machine, and you fly. A complete aircraft, packed into luggage. Now we get to the heart of it. Why is the entire world paying attention? Because the buyers aren't hobbyists, they're armies. An undisclosed Southeast Asian military customer ordered 2 JB-12 jetpacks worth a total of $800,000, making them the very first launch customer for the system. $800,000 for 2 backpacks that fly. And this is where it stops being a novelty and starts being a strategic weapon. Think about what a machine like this changes on a battlefield. A river you can't cross, a ridgeline that would take hours to climb, a collapsed building, a flooded town, a stranded soldier behind a wall of impassable terrain. The old answer was a helicopter. Loud, enormous, expensive, impossible to hide, and useless if there's nowhere to land. The new answer fits in 2 suitcases. 2 JB-12s could be used for emergency medical response in locations where a helicopter simply wouldn't be practical. A single soldier, or a single medic, lifting straight off the ground and crossing in minutes what would have taken a team an entire day. This is what military planners mean when they say something changes the rules of the game. When one person with a backpack can do what used to require an aircraft and a flight crew, the entire calculus of how you move people across a battlefield is rewritten. And the United States' own forces noticed. This isn't a foreign-only story. The American military is deep in it. Jetpack Aviation has entered into a development agreement with the Georgia Institute of Technology to design and build a soldier vertical mobility system for military applications. A soldier vertical mobility system. Read that phrase again. That's the Pentagon's clinical way of saying, a way to make individual troops fly. And the company's larger platform was hand-picked for one of the most competitive programs in American defense. Jetpack Aviation was selected by the AFP Weirix High-Speed VTOL Concept Challenge, launched in partnership with the U.S. Air Force and U.S. Special Operations Command. They were one of just 3 companies chosen from a total of 218 submissions. 218 entries, 3 survivors. They were one of them. The mission profiles include the infiltration and exfiltration of Special Operations Forces, personnel recovery, aeromedical evacuation, and tactical mobility, all at jet-type speeds. In plain English, getting special operators in and out of places no one expects them, pulling wounded soldiers out of the field, reaching people that nothing else can reach, at the speed of a jet. Here's where the story takes a turn most people have never heard about. The jetpack was only the beginning. The U.S. Navy SEALs came back to jetpack aviation with a bigger demand. Instead of carrying around 230 pounds, they wanted to carry 300 to 400 pounds, fly for up to an hour, and not require the same intense training. So the company built something new. They call it the Speeder, a flying motorcycle. David Mayman has a nickname for it. He calls it the Pocket F-35. And the numbers are genuinely hard to believe. The Speeder is powered by small gimbaled turbojet engines that can potentially reach speeds approaching 300 miles per hour, with a payload capability currently only available from much larger helicopter airframes. It has no rotors, no propellers, no ducted fans. Its footprint is dramatically smaller, removing the need for the specialized ground infrastructure a helicopter demands. And how do you fly it? Here's the most science fiction detail of all. The aircraft can be flown fully autonomously, piloted by a rider, or flown remotely using VR goggles. Strap on a headset and fly a turbojet aircraft from the ground like it's a video game. Except it's carrying real cargo into a real mission. It can take a payload more than 230 miles downrange, transporting life-saving supplies, or even range-extending a helicopter. So the obvious question, can a regular person get one? Almost. And that's what makes this so wild. Jetpack Aviation has stated that only 20 speeders will ever be sold for recreational use, because all future production after that is reserved for governments and the military. Only 20 in the entire world. Pre-orders started with prices beginning around $380,000, the price of a house, to own a category of machine that, until 5 minutes ago in human history, existed only in movies. And think about the journey we just traced. A dream from the comic books of the 1930s, a 21-second stunt in the 1980s, and now, in our time, a 6-engine turbojet you wear on your back that armies are buying, that Special Operations Command is testing, and that you could, if you're one of 20 people on Earth, actually purchase. That's the leap. Not from one product to a better product. From science fiction to a price tag. Step back and look at what this really represents. For 100 years, the jetpack was the symbol of a future that never arrived. It was the punchline, the thing we were always promised and never got. "Where's my jetpack?" became a joke about broken promises. That joke is now obsolete. A company in California solved the fuel problem with turbojets. It solved the safety problem with 6 engines and redundancy. It solved the difficulty problem with flight computers and auto-stabilization. And it solved the deployment problem by packing the whole thing into a pair of suitcases. 1 soldier, 1 medic, 1 rescuer, lifting off the ground and crossing the uncrossable. That is the capability the United States just put into a backpack. And it is exactly why militaries around the world are watching this little California company with a mix of awe and unease. The skies above a battlefield, above a disaster zone, above a stranded climber on a mountain, they will never look quite the same again. We just watched a 100-year-old dream finally come true. A real, working, 6-engine American jetpack that flies for minutes instead of seconds, climbs to 15,000 feet, fits in 2 suitcases, and is already being bought by the militaries of the world. Now, I want to hear from you. If you had the guts and the $300,000, would you strap one of these to your back and lift off? And what should we cover next? The flying motorcycle the SEALs asked for, or the race to build the world's first jetpack army? Drop your answer in the comments. If this one blew your mind, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss what American engineering does next. Because if a working jetpack is already here, you have no idea what's coming.